If you love solving chess puzzles, you came to the right place. Chess.com Daily Puzzle, the feature available to anyone, no special membership required. I changed my routine for the week of April 7th, and for this video, let's try to solve all 7 daily puzzles for this week, one after another. Usually I solve them daily, but for this particular video, I decided to solve all 7 at once. First, we have Monday puzzle. And the way puzzles are constructed at chess.com, Monday puzzles are usually the easiest, Sundays are usually the most difficult ones. So let's see what we have for Monday. White to move. White to move. What are our candidates here for the moves? So we see that white is without a bishop. 2 rooks against 2 rooks, bishop against 2 bishops. So we can always consider captures, checks, and any other forced moves. We can take the bishop on f5, but that would just equalize the material, and it wouldn't be enough to constitute a puzzle, really. But what we see is the black king is totally helpless. Totally helpless on the square b8, and the squares a6, b7, c6 are very weak around the black king. So we can immediately feel that there should be a checkmate from the square b7, probably. b7 or a8 with the queen. So I think it wouldn't be a mistake to make the first move queen a6 with the idea to checkmate on b7. And it was correct. Bishop c8 immediately for black. So they protected the square b7, but we have another square to checkmate. Queen a8 checkmate. Good job. First puzzle was easy. Let's go to the second one. Tuesday. Tuesday puzzle. 2 rooks against 2 rooks. Knight against the bishop. 2 queens on the board. Pawns 5 on 5, but probably irrelevant. And we have white to move. White to move. It feels like, because everything is protected, it feels like it has to be a checkmate somewhere. So the candidate moves are, first I'm thinking about checking with the rook on e8. Check on e8. That's not only a check, but it also forces black to move king to h7, which is the only move for black. And in puzzles, it's always, not always, but it's usually a good idea to have a move after which the opponent only has one move. So rook e8, king h7. Do we have a continuation after that? How about queen f8 after that? With the idea to checkmate on g7. But if we do that, then it would be, we're gonna get queen f2 check. Because you see the rook would be already here, and queen f8 check, and then checkmate here. So we're gonna lose. But hold on, I think I have a solution. If we go rook e8 check, king h7, and then we sacrifice the rook on h8, king takes h8, queen f8 check, and queen g7 checkmate. Looks good. Let's try. Check, and not correct. Not correct. Why? Oh, okay. If rook e8, king h7, rook h8, then black do not have to capture on h8. It's not checkers, and they will just go king g6. And we have nothing. But what if we lure black king towards the middle of the board? Because now I'm realizing that the king, if the king is on f8, then rook e8 is simply a checkmate. How do we do that? We sacrifice a queen. Queen f8. Check, that's good. And rook e8 checkmate. So puzzle is solved. Not right away. We made a mistake, or at least I did, and hopefully you didn't. And we go to Wednesday. Wednesday puzzle. Two rooks against two rooks, bishop against bishop, queen against queen. Clearly the king on f3 is not safe. And let's see, and it's black to move. So let's see if we can somehow either checkmate the king there, or if we can win some material. Do we have any checks, first of all? Do we have any checks? The only check I see is rook e d3 check. And if it's rook d3 check, rook takes d3, queen takes d3, king f2. I don't really have any continuation there. That shouldn't be that. What if we take the rook? Another forcing move, take the rook on d1, rook takes d1, and then I wanna, I think, then I wanna play g5 and activate my bishop, and then to play bishop h5 and on a skewer to win this rook. Is that a solution? I think that could be it. Let's take a rook. Let's take a rook. Let's go. Rook takes d1. Rook takes d1. Okay, that was the correct move. And now I want to play g5. But hold on a second, I don't need to play g5. If I play g5, king f2, and nothing. But we can use the same idea as I just suggested, we just don't need a bishop. We have everything at our disposal already, we have a queen. Queen h5 check, that's correct, and on a skewer we're winning a rook. And that's it. So we solved this puzzle. Good. And now we're going to Thursday. Thursday puzzle is this one. We're without a piece for white to move. We can immediately see that the king on c7 doesn't have any moves. The b file is protected by the rook. The d file is protected by another rook. So the king is stuck here. How we can checkmate that king? It would be nice to go knight e6 check. Knight e6 check would be a checkmate, if not for this bishop. He would just capture our knight. So we have to use the deflection, I'm thinking. We have to deflect this knight from c8. How can we do it? What is the forcing move here? What is the forcing check? We can check from here, but I think we need the knight to continue this. Okay, we have rook b7. Rook b7 check. And black would be forced to take that rook with the bishop. So check here, no moves for the king, bishop takes, check from here. Now the king has an escape square on c8, and we have a checkmate on d8 with the rook by coordinating the knight and the rook. And this looks like a forced combination, and I like it. Rook b7 check, very good. Check from here, good. And rook d8, checkmate. By the way, this checkmate with the knight and the rook has a name, which currently escapes my memory. But if you know the name of this checkmate, let me know in the comments. Is it epaulet checkmate? I'm not sure. But it's a checkmate. We solve the puzzle and we go to Friday. Friday puzzle. Okay, we have a position with two rooks against two rooks, knight against the bishop, and the queen against the queen. Two extra pawns for black. White to move. It feels that something has to be connected with the fact that black pieces are very poorly coordinated here. What if we just take the rook on e8, queen takes e8, and just take a bishop on d6, and that would be an extra bishop. Is this a solution? If this is a solution, that's too easy, to be honest with you. And this is already Thursday. Thursday puzzle has to be a little more complicated. So what's wrong with the plan? If we take the rook, queen takes the rook, knight takes d6 with the fork on the knight, on the rook and the queen, black have some checks. Rook c2 or queen e2, and possibly creating some issues there for the white king. If this was a game, this is what I would play. But I don't think it's a puzzle. I don't think it's a puzzle. I think it has to be something more concrete, something more, first of all, something more beautiful, let's say. What if we take the pawn on h6 with the check? G takes h6, queen takes f7, supported by the rook. King h8. Is there a checkmate there? Not right away. Not right away. Okay. What if we sacrifice a queen? Always a good idea to check sacrifices of the queens. Queen takes f7. Queen takes f7. And then king takes f7. Knight takes d6 check. And then knight takes e8. And we would be without material. So that's not working either. But what if we sacrifice the queen, then take a rook on e8, queen takes e8, and then we take on d6, and then it's a triple fork. We don't win a material, but at least it looks good. You know what? I'm not sure exactly what to do here, but by my intuition, I feel that the correct move is to sacrifice the queen. Let's try it. Queen takes f7. Yes, great. It was a correct move. And now I'm thinking rook takes e8. And that's not correct. Okay. Then not correct. That means that we need to jump with the knight somewhere because of this discover attack. And the easiest way is knight takes d6. Is this really a solution to this puzzle? Knight takes d6 and then to take the rook? Hold on a second. Hold on. Knight e7. Knight e7 is protected by the rook here, and it's a checkmate. Wow, I didn't expect that. Knight e7, yeah, that's a checkmate, because the g6 and g8 squares would be protected by the knight. Interesting. Okay, great puzzle. Knight e7. Okay, rook takes f4, and now it's a checkmate. All right, not a great job here, but we had at least some ideas, and possibly you solved it way before I did. Then great job to you. We have Saturday puzzle. Black to move. We have pretty crazy position. And what do we have in terms of forcing moves? Do we have any captures? No. Do we have any checks? Basically, queen f1 or bishop f1. If bishop f1, king h2, nothing there. And if queen f1, king h2, at least we can grab a bishop immediately with queen takes f2. And if queen f1, king g3, all right, something has to be there. I just don't see any other move. So let's try it. Queen f1, good. King g3, okay. Now I kind of feel that we somehow need to capture the bishop on f2. Now it's protected by the king. We need to deflect the king, and the only move to deflect the king and the only check in the position is bishop h4. And I don't see a checkmate right away, but I see that the king would be on the edge of the board, which is much easier to checkmate. I just don't see any other moves. Bishop h4 check, correct. Now it has to be queen takes f2. And that's correct. And now we have to find something quickly, because there has to be a checkmate somewhere here. And again, the only check I see is queen f6. It's really the only check, because if knight f7 check, then rook would simply take on f7, and the puzzle will not be interesting. It has to be queen f6, right? Yes, queen f6 check, king takes h6, and what do we have? g5, check, king h5. No checkmate there, so it has to be another check. Queen h4 check, king g6, and here, I believe, yes, rook f6 checkmate. The king is stuck. And even the king on g8 actually played a role in this puzzle, because it doesn't allow the white king to get to square g7. Okay, we did this one, and we have one more to go. Sunday puzzle. Black to move, two active rooks. They have to be participating in this puzzle for sure. There is a passing pawn, A, and if we just move that pawn, I just don't think it really constitutes as a good puzzle. Would be nice to checkmate the white king from square f2, but there is no pawn on e3. Otherwise, queen g3 would be the move, and then checkmate here. There is also no bishop here, no dark square bishop. That would slice white's position, and then also queen g3 would be interesting. So, and we have no checks. But we have to do something forceful here, because white also, sooner or later, are ready to promote their pawn. What can we do? I think the only move that makes sense, and I honestly don't see exact continuation, like moves ahead, but I want to start with rook takes e2. Because then rook takes e2, king takes e2, then we have queen takes g2, and then we can take the rook, and that's at least something. I just don't see anything else remotely close to a puzzle here. Okay, let's try. Yes, great job. Rook takes e2 works. Here, I don't think anything else. Queen takes g2, that's correct. Now we have an option. Why we have an option? We have queen takes h1 check, and we have rook d8 check. One of those moves has to be correct, but which one? Okay, let's start with the more obvious one. Queen takes h1. And if that's the whole puzzle, first of all, after king c2, I'm not sure that black is winning here, because the next move, there would be a promotion of the queen. And this doesn't look like a Sunday puzzle to me. So how about rook d8 check? Rook d8 check. The good news is that king cannot escape to c2. So probably the only move would be bishop d2, blocking the check. And then we can come up with something. I think rook d8 makes sense. Rook d8, let's try. Yes, we did that. Rook d8, bishop d2, that we expected. And now, again, if we take the rook, and let's say king c2, what would be the winning move then? Hold on a second. I'm also thinking if there is no knight, we can grab the queen. Maybe that's the idea here. What if we take the bishop? And knight would have to take our rook, and we'll just take the queen. I'm not sure if that's the only solution, but that's the most forcing solution, in my opinion. Although, if it was a game, if I didn't know it was a puzzle, I would probably just grab the rook. But I think that's kind of boring. Yeah, let's take a chance. Yes, correct. And queen takes b7, right? Okay. So we did this puzzle. Okay, so we accomplished our task, 7 puzzles in a row, daily puzzles from chess.com. How did we do? I think we solved 5, and we have some trouble with 2. At least I did. But possibly you solved all 7. Please leave me your comments. Tell me in the comment section if you solved all 7 puzzles. If you did, great job. And I'll be here with more puzzles next Sunday or Monday. And we'll do the puzzles for April 14th week. If you enjoyed this format, please let me know in the comments. I wouldn't mind if you subscribe. We have a lot of other content in my channel. And until then, thank you for watching.